Okay. Whiskey. And crazy horse. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Wendy Day.
And I'm Ben Lucky.
Welcome to this special edition of 30 Minutes.
Tonight we will be talking about the 4 acts of terrorism that have happened during the 20th and 21st century.
That's right, Ben. Tonight we will be receiving in-depth coverage on the Wall Street bombings of the 1920s all the way through the anthrax scare of the 2001.
Also tonight we'll be talking about the tragic 9/11 attacks.
But first, Ben, how was your trip overseas?
It was decent, but nothing's better than coming back here and delivering news on the TV watchers.
True, just giving the people what they want. Alright, now back to the news.
To begin tonight's special, we will send it over to Tennessee Ford with the Wall Street bombing. Tennessee?
Thank you, Ben. As we all know, Thursday, September 16, 1920 was the tragic day of the Wall Street bombing, where over 200 people lay dead after a wagon exploded in front of the State office in downtown Manhattan. With me, I have Claire Reed, who lost her great-grandfather in the explosion and who was working in the stock market that day, and later Charles Red from Bureau of Investigation. Now for you, Claire. The stories have been told to every generation since, making sure no one forgot the day many lost their lives and you lost your great-grandfather. That day who just turned 30, right?
Correct. My great-grandmother was actually going to visit him that day, but my mom decided to act up, who was 2 at the time, and prevented my great-grandmother from actually going.
That's almost a good thing, right? Otherwise, you might not be here to share your story.
That's right. We sometimes joke around and think that 2-year-old mom actually purposely knew that something was going to happen that day, and so purposely prevented my great-grandma from going.
That's good. So tell us, what have you been told that happened on that tragic day?
Well, the day started out like any other day, with busy people going this way and that. Cars would get going everywhere, and needless to say, they didn't watch where they were going. My great-grandfather actually almost got hit by one of those cars. My great-aunt was going grocery shopping that day, and it was only like a few blocks away. So from then she first heard like the big blast, and then she saw like a big mushroom-shaped cloud coming like towards her.
So it was your great-aunt who kept the story alive in your family?
Yeah, her and my great-grandfather were really close. And when she saw smoke coming from J.P. Morgan office, she just dropped everything and ran.
What did she see then?
Well, people around her were dropping and blood was splashing everywhere. She looked around and all she could see were body parts and people on fire and injured people trying to get away. It's so horrible and tragic hearing about it. I could never imagine actually being there and seeing all this happen.
Yes, it is a very unfortunate situation. Now to you, Mr. Red. Come on in. It is said that the bomb was not intended for Mr. J.P. Morgan himself, or anyone else for that matter. It has been written that the Chief of Secret Service, William Flynn, stated, "It was planted in the financial heart of America as a defiance of the American people." Do you agree with this statement? What is your opinion on why they put the bomb there?
In my opinion, Mr. Flynn was right. I don't believe the attack was on any particular person rather than just a group point.
Are there any leads to who it was that planned on the bombing?
Well, based on bomb attacks in previous decades, the Bureau initially suspected followers of Italian anarchist Luigi Galliano, which was a group based on Luigi Galliano, who was a major figure in the anarchist movement. But unfortunately, the case couldn't be proved. This allowed the anarchists to flee the country for 3 years. Any hot leads we would get turned cold, and we would be left dead end after dead end. At the time, the bombers were not identified, but based the evidence and analysis since that day suggest that the Bureau's initial thought was correct, that a small group of Italian anarchists were to blame, but nothing concrete can be said who actually planned the bombing.
So with all this destruction, it must have taken days to clean up, right?
Actually, no.
No?
No, you would think that with the explosion and such a big impact and many deaths, it would take days to clean up. But crews cleaned the damage of overnight. That includes physical evidence that today would be crucial to identifying the perpetrator. Another reason why nothing can be confirmed.
Thank you, Mr. Red, for giving us the inside information of the Wall Street bombing. And thank you, Claire, for your story with your family. That day is a day that no one will forget. Even today, there is still damage that can be seen as a reminder of the many lives that were lost. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Tennessee, for that special on Wall Street bombing. Coming up after the break, we'll be talking about the Ku Klux Klan.
In one of his best public performances, a twisted stand-up comic routine.
Herr Roosevelt verlangt endlich die Bereitwilligkeit, ihm die Zusicherung zu geben, dass die deutschen Streitkräfte das Staatsgebiet oder die Besitzungen folgender unabhängiger Nationen nicht angreifen und vor allem nicht dort einmarschieren würden. Und er nennt als dafür in Frage kommend nun Finnland, Lettland, Litauen, Estland, Norwegen, Schweden, Dänemark, Niederlande, Belgien, Großbritannien, Irland, Frankreich, Portugal, Spanien, die Schweiz, Liechtenstein, Luxemburg, Polen, Ungarn, Rumänien, Jugoslawien, Russland, Bulgarien, Türkei, Irak, Arabien, Syrien, Palästina, Ägypten.
Hitler would, of course, invade more than half of the countries on Roosevelt's list.
God, I can't believe Roosevelt sent me this. Stupid. What's this? Take that one to the camps and put this one in the examination room with the others.
No! Marie, come no!
Hey boys and girls, you want to see a trick? This here is the magic backpack. I can make it, along with the people around it, disappear like magic. Watch while I demonstrate.
Hey, and welcome back to the special edition of 30 Minutes.
And now we'll be talking about the Ku Klux Klan. Between the years 1865 to 1870s, a group formed known as the Ku Klux Klan, or also the KKK. 1915 to 1944, the second era of the KKK began. By November 1922, Herman W. Evans became the Klan's imperial wizard. This grew rapidly under his leadership, and by 1925, the membership total reached 4 million.
By this time, Klansmen were already elected to positions of political power, including state officials in Texas, Oklahoma, Indiana, Oregon, and Maine. It was rare for Klansmen to be arrested, and even when they were arrested, it was unlikely they would be convicted in the state local juries.
The numbers dwindled as the conviction of the Klan leader, who at the time was David C. Stevenson. Continuing the trend during both the Great Depression and the Second World War, the organization was disbanded by 1944. But the Klan was revived in the 1950s with the emergency of the Civil Rights Movement. The most important of these was the White Kings, which was led by Robert Shelton.
With this new string of Klan members, blacks were pressured more than ever not to vote. Blacks who did vote, which is only about 2%, risked the chance of being lynched, which was still employed as a method of terrorizing the local black population.
Awful. And even though the Klan is still around today, it isn't as brutal as it was back then. Now, the Imperial Klans of America, or the IKA, which is the largest Klan organization known in America today, are a paramilitary organization. It has ties to skinhead and National Socialist groups.
And now, thanks to National Geographic, here's an excerpt talking about the KKK from back then to now.
At the turn of the 20th century, America's social landscape was changing rapidly. Urbanization, industrialization, and a massive influx of Jewish and Catholic immigrants from Europe. The Klan began a violent campaign to terrorize immigrants and exploit fears that immigrants threatened American values. By the 1920s, Klan membership was over 4 million. During the 1930s and 40s, Klan membership again declined, but the Klan experienced a resurgence